But our team, like they know when somebody comes on board, you want that person around and introduce them to everybody, and it's their job to bring them into the culture. If that person decides not to be part of it, then we let them go.
Detailer's Roadmap Cruise Control, where we navigate the roadways of life, business, and everything in between. Hey guys, it's Kevin Davis from the Cruise Control Podcast, coming to you from Mobile Tech Expo 2025 MTE. And we are here doing some shorter podcasts this weekend with some very cool people. Today, I have two of my favorite people in the world who you have seen multiple times on this podcast.
Let's go!
Menard, DiGiovanni, and we have no idea what we're going to talk about, so this is going to be fun.
Damn.
And which is kind of typical for
relationship advice, how to look so good in a tight shirt.
All right, let me just say,
what if it's a tight shirt for the wrong reasons?
if you're watching this on video, you may notice that I have a size medium shirt on. So,
and you're watching this on podcast or listening, you should definitely go look at a photo.
Evidently, the size chart was wrong. It was too big yesterday, and this shirt is slightly too small.
Who knew China wouldn't be able to get this correct?
You got it before the tariff kicked in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Had to swing that through.
Thank you very much for coming. If you don't know who Grant is, who are you?
National Account Manager for Your Able.
Yep.
Own a detail shop, Menard Premium Detailing. Consulting business, power moves. Got some car storage, other things. Just a dude.
And an amazing set of chest hair, if I might say.
Great chest hair. This thing is weighing me down.
Chris?
I work at Detailer's Roadmap. President of Detailer's Roadmap. 8-Bit Creative. Kevin's boss. Once in a while, until Kevin tells me to tone it the fuck down, I say, Kevin, you're my boss today. We do websites.
All right, so this podcast, or this weekend, we've been talking on these podcasts, kind of giving people different topics and, just really helping in a short format, more of a topical thing. Is there anything in particular you guys have been kind of on your minds through conversations this weekend that you think would be great to share?
Yeah.
And both of you can say it. You can take different topics, kind of BS it around.
Well, I think last night was pretty awesome.
Yeah. We can talk about it.
Is that cool?
Yeah, go for it.
What did you call it? A round table?
I call it like a business jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah.
So we took business owners that I felt like were doing great in a lot of avenues of business and maybe just needed a little bit of help from other business owners that were really good at that. And we kind of paired them together as just like a fun, let's go out to dinner kind of thing. So we took 4 shops that are all in the $1.5 million, $2.5 million range. So
yeah, it was awesome. Well, I wish there was more of this at home, which I got a lot out of it. So I came, with just openness, and it was, hey, like no business is perfect. From the outside view looking in for a lot of our businesses, people probably would think, that business is perfect. We're making millions of dollars. They got everything in check. But the reality is, it wasn't that at all. So the cool part is what one of the businesses maybe, was facing as a struggle. The other 3 of us might have had some experience in, or at least some guidance and openness to talk and not feel like, can I be open here? Can I not be? It was completely open the whole time.
Wasn't being recorded, wasn't on video. It was just all women and guys just shaking hands and like, this is what I'm struggling with.
Yeah, which is rare because usually, we
at
see
that level.
At that level, yeah.
Well, and we've talked about the importance of coaching and mentoring and all that stuff. Yeah. But I think what a lot of times people misunderstand is that one of the best ways to get that is through peer network, and making these connections. And hopefully some of these shops will be able to connect, even though they're not in the same city, be able to connect after. Right?
Yeah, and I've known the 3 guys that were there, but not to that level. Like the kind of
some interaction with them.
Immediate connection that we had. We've always just talked shop a little bit. And just, always had fun, but actually like getting the nitty gritty, it made you appreciate what they were going through because you've been through it. And then also when I was open, it felt like a really nice connection piece there too. Yeah. So there's guys that I'll definitely reach out to again because it was a real conversation, which is awesome.
Yeah. To be genuine and authentic and all that stuff. I talked to Ian before, and we were talking about how great these events can be, and especially it's not even during the day, it's the after and it's the before and on education day between the 2 things, and be able to have those connections, especially vulnerability, right?
Oh my God,
it's tough. I had Megan, Justin, and Ashley on from Car Candy, right? Yeah. We're talking about this, and I kind of joked because we were talking about buying, $200,000 bottling. machines, right? And I said, yeah, but that's no problem for you guys because you have like $4 or $5 million cash in the bank all the time, right? And she's like, oh, absolutely. But the thing is, like, even a business from here, if you look outside and say, well, Grant has this level of success and he's making all these things, like whether you're making $5,000 a year or a month or $50,000 or $500,000, it's the same issues: cash flow, revenue, staffing, team members, and all that, right?
Yeah, and as the biggest business gets bigger, the nut gets bigger too. So it's not like your expenses stay at $5,000 a month.
Yeah.
When you have every 2 weeks, I got a $50,000 check that's going out the door for payroll.
Yeah.
And when I add somebody else, that's 55. Add somebody else, that's 60. So every person you add comes to it, and you're going to make up for that in revenue, not just revenue, profitability at the end of the day. Yeah. So the bigger it goes, the scarier it gets. Yeah. But you get used to it along the way, I think.
Yeah. Or risk is a real thing, right?
Thing.
Is this tint a reward that I need to pull into other services? And it seems like people management is like a big thing that recurs as you grow, as you scale, as you pull up. It seems to go up more and more of can you give that vision off to those, either that leaders or those down levels for sure.
And not like you've been struggling with trying to get, that kind of thing handled, right?
Let's go! Retention! Let's go!
Let's jump into that.
Other than half of them want to work for Grant after meeting them, but
hey, Pat, you signed that contract yet?
But one thing we've been struggling as a company, first of all, is ramping up hiring. But one thing I've learned from you and been really impressed is that, A, you're very deliberate about hiring.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the data and the numbers from both of you guys on that, because I haven't really had an opportunity to talk more about this team building thing, but also about the struggles, right? Like, you don't have to get into too much detail, but one of the issues that we're having is that but I want you to get into the details. One of the things that we struggle with is trying to hire the right person for the job with the skill sets, but also make them, and you're really big on this, the culture fit for the company, right?
I mean, you want to start? You're the culture fit guy. Do you want to take that? You're big about breed and culture and fucking other milk enzymes.
Curds and whey.
You Wisconsin fucking disconnect.
Curds whey.
Curds whey.
I like express milk, all of it.
Yeah. This podcast not sponsored by Orgain.
I'm big on culture because at the end of the day, we spend more time in the workplace than we do at home. So, or basically
that's a wild thing to say right there. It's true.
Yeah, it's true, and that's what you see. And so it's how can you build this whole family environment around it and support each other? And we've been able to do that pretty nicely because I am the furthest thing from a micromanager that's possible. So all we care about is, do you show up to work on time, and do you get the job done exactly how we expect to get it done? And we don't care about the rest that's in between. We don't care about process. We don't have process and procedures in place. We don't have any of that stuff. You're way over your head. You pay them well. You pay them for what they're worth. And then when somebody asks for something, you give them 30% more on top of it to really show that you value them more than what they're worth. So we do culture. We do a lot of company events. At the end of every day, we build a bar in our front of office. At the end of every day, they get the ability to go and have a beer. So think about your whole family that you're going home with. You just worked for 8 hours that day. You crush it. Some might be going through it well. Some might have had some struggles. And at the end of the day, you all come together and have a beer together. Like, there's nothing better than that. They got skateboards that they go around the shop in at the end of the day. Like, you just let them be kids and have fun, because that's what I breed every single day. And then also it's the best to start every morning where you walk around. You say hi to every single person.
Yeah.
Like when I'm at the shop, which is rare, when I am there, I make point to walk up to every single person, say what's up, check on the kids, how are they doing, how's the week. So it's not hard to build culture. But I just wanted a really fun culture. I love having fun. I love when they're throwing PPF and tape balls at each other. They hang out on the weekends, or kids are together. Like, there's nothing more rewarding than having your team hang out outside of work.
And when you're hiring, how do you make sure that someone's a good culture fit?
You can tell fairly quickly, just by the conversation you're having. I mean, there's a lot of nerves that come. All of us have been on the other side of the table in an interview. Like, there's a lot of nerves that come with that, 100%. But within the first 2 to 3 days, but our team, like, they know when somebody comes on board, you walk that person around and introduce them to everybody, and it's their job to bring them into the culture. If that person decides not to be part of it, then we let them go. But we hire 8 to keep 1, maybe 10 to keep 1.
Okay.
So it's tough to find it, but nobody's ever left.
Yeah.
Outside my mom and my sister.
Which, I mean, that makes sense.
Makes sense.
But one of the struggles I know you and I talked about earlier this week is like you don't feel like, and granted, we're interviewing for higher level than like somebody washing a car, right?
Yeah.
But you have kind of pointed out that early in this interview process or the application process and all that kind of stuff, you may not be getting the real person, right? And that begins to come out. So I'm interested in what your take is on. First of all, let's talk about hiring difficulties. That's something that we're dealing with right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of. I kind of told you last night. Like, I take all the things I hate, or maybe we're adding another writing role. Some people have some blended roles, and we're going to take the things that they hate in their current role, and we're going to make a role on that based on this person hates this, these two people hate it. Can we make a role that someone's going to love it? And we're going to put it right out front as part of like the application process. And I'll literally do even a Loom video, a little recorded video, 90 seconds. If you love this, if you fucking hate this, you ain't going to like this job.
Yeah.
We get a much higher level of engagement even on just the application. That you could tell who read the video or read the description, watched the video. It just kind of changed everything for us when we started saying, this is what you'll love, and this is what might hate about this job, and I wouldn't recommend this if you're this type of this person. You almost like push them away, and they're like, oh, I want that, I'm like, if you had to put me into reading and writing a website, which I have done,
for 2 years.
I had to pay you to read my own website.
Grants was the last one I wrote, and I have refused to write that.
That
anymore.
was one of the easiest ones to do.
Yeah.
I'm sure he was super responsive.
Oh yeah, every day. Like, hey, just we're tapping you on round 1. It's at month 7. Oh, it's good. Have you looked at it? I don't know how to log in. Go fuck yourself. Stuff like that.
I have people for that.
I delegate everything.
I delegate. Hey, first thing you want to do when you get a website, detailer's roadmap, you want to make sure your Able's all set up, but delegate both of them. Don't even talk to them. Even though I'm the managed guy, I don't want to know. 1 year, bro. And then I get to do impressions of him for 1 day, and then I got to go on a 364-day retrieve on it. So
you did it last 2 days last year. You get right back in.
Hell yeah.
Well,
but I'm big on, as far as drawing application like that, but to his point, within 7 days. You just know if people are not a fit. I mean, I would hope you would know because you were getting feedback from the team around them, not necessarily I'm micromanaging and seeing that.
Well, talk about this personality test that you do too, because I think those are super powerful. It's something I'm going to start integrating when I get home.
You talking about the values thing?
Values, yeah.
All right, so the value thing, there's a gentleman, I wholly recommend him. His name is Ray Sanders. We did it with our team, so Kevin, Melissa, Pat, all people were on it. And basically, the rough idea is if you take a person, you say, what's your core values? What do you value most in life? It doesn't have to be business, but it can be. What's your core values? And a lot of times, like Kevin's is like family and time, and he's got a couple other ones in there. And mine's like efficiency and time. And then you find out, you take this person who's got these values, you ask for 5, and you say, all right, why'd you pick those values? And you usually have to give an example, but generally it's either because it was validated through an experience or it was violated. Okay, so long story short, mine is time, because it was violated when my mom died. I felt like I didn't have that time anymore. So I feel like tomorrow's my last day on earth.
Oh, interesting.
So if you're going to come to me with something, no problem. Can we bang it out? Can I help you with this today? I might not be here tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's how I think. I'm going to die tomorrow.
And thank God we cleared the comments on that site before Chris was gone.
That's right.
So I violated your time by waiting about 1.5 years to get my website done.
Yeah. So that's right. I want to be efficient. I want time. So when I know people's values, so I know how do I want to talk to them, how they want to be talked to, and what really can either burn their bridge down or what they really like. And you find out real quick by using those values and leveraging them in the right way that they can go to a happier place in work and home. So there's somebody here in the office that they value experiences. They've never been able to go on vacation. That was violated in their childhood. It was violated in their high school. They don't know this yet. It's being announced on the podcast. Sending them to Italy. They don't know this.
Awesome.
So don't release this in the next 4 weeks.
Okay.
But
Release it.
I'm gonna
Let's see if they watch it.
experiences. So validation and violation. And so when you use those, you find a deeper thing. And we do it with our whole team. So our whole team knows each other's values. You do it all together. And they just tend to work better. They know, like, oh shit, if I put this on his plate and I don't tell him why, he's might freak out because he doesn't have enough time in his day. He's already calendarizing stuff. So people now put stuff on my calendar to talk to me because they know if I throw something on Chris's desk at the end of the day or whatever and not give him an ounce, it throws his day off because he's dying tomorrow.
That makes it.
So that I always believe, just we're all humans. We're fucking here for at best how many days a year?
30,000.
30,000 at best. You're gonna get 30,000. You might stretch that bitch to 40 if you're real fucking lucky. You might get 10.
Yeah.
You might get 5. So in my opinion I'm only here for a certain amount of time. I want to make the culture as best for them as it is for me. And so I'm very servitude based instead of, how can I benefit me? And that's how I feel like we've been good at retaining talent, attracting talent, and all that stuff.
This episode is brought to you by Detailers Roadmap. Hey, spoiler alert, that's us. We all know you need a kick-ass website in order to be successful with your business. The good news is at Detailers Roadmap, kick-ass websites, that's kind of what we do. With the latest performance, designs, and SEO strategies, Detailers Roadmap is your one-stop shop to be successful on the web. And don't forget, we have the best support team in the industry. Whether you're an existing partner looking to improve your lead generation or you need a brand new website, Detailers Roadmap is here to help you be successful on the web. So go to detailersroadmap.com/success and get started today. That's detailersroadmap.com/SUCCESS. And if you're interested in that, you can go to raysanders.com.
Yeah.
And he has a free values assessment on his website.
Yeah. And I would recommend bringing them in.
Yeah.
For sure, if you can afford it.
Yeah.
If you're a shop that's doing a couple $100,000 a year, you can afford it.
Yeah,
It's pretty
sure.
easy.
He's an awesome dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it brings value to the team too. Like a lot of people I feel like we're in a devalued industry versus a valuable industry. So when you're able to give these guys true value and speak of legacy too, like they feel like they're actually important in the workforce, not just to themselves, but to a team as a whole, and to the vision that is set out by the leadership side of it. It brings a legacy into play too. And when you speak to that legacy, like when you bring, for us, we bring customers, they know exactly who's working on their cars.
Yeah.
And that's a value point for them. They're like, they take pride into what they do. So when you have the team around you that supports you all the way through it, and then you also have the customers that are supporting through it, and then you have the leadership that supports the whole mission behind it, it builds a legacy for them for sure.
I mean, if you know someone's career growth oriented in their value, not everybody is.
Yeah.
I need growth. They're telling you in 90 days, can you lay out a plan of where my avenues can be? Some people, they'll tell you right up front, this is how you're going to make me most successful, which is ironically how they're telling you they're going to make your business most successful.
And is there a way that you pull that out of people if they're a little, some people are not for,
I got to get them to cry. I'm just, I usually
Did
go
it to me last night.
Yeah. I usually go really, like he did his. To be honest, I got a much deeper version of the time one with my mom. But you have to show them why it's a value. A lot of times you can't say, pick your value. Sometimes they don't even know why they're picking it.
Yeah.
And you tell them that validation or a violation story. Ray gives a great instance of his validated one is that he would work with a lot of past presidents, get them kind of motivated and understand. And he would see those exact same phrases later that the presidents would use on like TV and stuff like that. And that was like a validation moment for him. Like, I've got something here. He didn't even know he worked for the fucking president, and he didn't think that was enough to be validated until he saw those phrases being. So that's when he started like, I could do this on different levels, and I don't have to be stressed out at the president.
You think that validation, you were saying that this is a very devalued industry. Do you think there's a psychology between the ego and the not feeling validated thing? Like we're like
No.
kind of over.
Not at all.
All right, I'm going to leave now. You guys finish this podcast on your own. But I mean, like, walk through that.
Well,
I know it's a thing, like, but I think I don't think we've talked about it before.
No,
so
I think
that's
it's a
an
belief.
interesting-
It's my belief
Yeah.
that I always say we're kind of an industry of rejects. Like we all fell into this one way or another. So we weren't validated in life in one sector or next. So we decided to start cleaning cars. And the barrier of entry is super cheap, right? You can get in and start. I mean, I used my mom's Dawn dish soap and her drying towel or bath towel for my first car. But I did, and it came out fine.
Yeah.
Right, but the reality was that, you know, the validation comes at the end when the customer says thank you. And it's continued validation from every single customer that comes in, and we seek that 5-star review. We seek that, oh my God, this looks so good. Like, that's what you seek. And when you don't get it, it crushes you.
Yeah.
Like, every single person in the industry gets absolutely demolished internally when you don't get that validation at the end. So it's definitely ego side to it, but I think it's more of the internal, that you're just fake. You're looking for validation through your customers or through the industry and through the video and through everything you're doing online and through all the comments that people are putting on the forums and all the Facebook groups. They're looking for some type of validation to say, yeah, you're doing things right. And a lot of times they don't get it.
Yeah. I mean, I think we all have. I always try to look at people when they have bad behavior.
Yeah.
It's like, why? Like, what's the story behind what's happening? I think as men, especially, but I think everybody does it. We overcompensate with ego. You know, an ego typically comes from. We're all freaking low self-esteem people.
Yeah.
Even us that pretend not to be.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Stop looking at my soul, would you? I'm fat, fuckers. I'm working on it. No days off. No days off. No days off.
Well, you had 3 days off.
Yeah, I had 3 days off. 3 days off.
Go do a lap.
Yeah,
Go back. Go run.
But I think that's really something that people can be, you know, really think through and be intrinsic about to see, you know, what is it that I can do about this?
I don't know many humans that don't have self-esteem, like low self-esteem. Like everyone, I think I don't think there's a person that says I'm perfect.
Yeah.
Like internally meaning.
Yeah. But to your point, you were talking about like something in your childhood or whatever. You've seen the stat, like Dan Martell talks about this all the time, that literally almost every successful entrepreneur that is successful now had something happen between 10 and 14 in their childhood.
Traumatic event.
Really?
Yeah, almost every one of them. Like, and he meets, obviously Dan Martell meets thousands of them. He said almost without fail, everyone that I've come in contact with has something.
I think it was like, major or moderate traumatic event from 9 to 14, and usually had a repetition of something similar within a couple years.
Yeah.
And there's usually typically 3 events from 9 to 15. That's like everybody we talked about, like mom, dad, you know, stuff like that, like divorce, you know, car crash through the house, what? You know, stuff like that. It tracks a lot.
How old were you when mom passed?
This would have been 10 years ago, but I lost a couple friends in a car accident and stuff. That was definitely in that range.
That's rough. Yeah, I find that having your parents throw beer bottles at you is a great way to turn you into an entrepreneur. By the way, I'm not allowed to play that 2 truths and a lie game anymore because it gets.
You were there for that, right?
Oh, was I? I was sitting right next to him.
We don't let them play it anymore. Debbie Downer here has got too many traumatic events.
Everyone's face was, whoa.
If you don't know that game,
you're supposed to say something like, I want my pilot's license, and I like black coffee, and then, you know, I have one failed business. This guy's like, Dad beat the living shit out of me every night. Oh, wait, hold on. Are we supposed to say all truths or all lies? Like, fuck.
This guy killed my other friend. This guy died in a car accident.
Oh, fucking hell.
I didn't say my mom for 6 months.
The whole air got sucked out of the room. I remember Zach was like, damn, I don't know what's going on. I just video here. And it was fucking wild.
I wish we had it on video. I think it'd be a great, like,
I think it's best we do.
Let's turn that into your story. Can we do that?
Done. Yeah, we'll start it up, you say that, and then we'll cut.
That might work better in
Kevin Davis.
Yeah, might be work better in written form.
There you go. As it turns out, I'm going to.
Yeah.
But, like, I think that's one of those things that separates us who are successful entrepreneurs from unsuccessful ones is the ability to take those kind of things, recognize, I mean, that's huge that you recognize that time element is part of losing those friends and your mom, and that dictates a lot of your behavior now. But I mean, I think that's super important to be able to take that and then move beyond it, or work towards moving beyond it throughout what you do.
Do you feel like a successful entrepreneur?
No.
I don't either.
No. Well, it depends on how you define success.
I really don't.
No.
I consider myself work in progress, but if you look across, like when I examine and look at the things that I feel like make me successful, I'm successful.
Yeah.
just because marriage, family, friends, like being able to laugh and do things like this, and that's how I monitor my success. But if I compare my cash account and investment account to you or you,
don't do the compare.
I feel like crap. You know what I mean? Like, but like if we compare different, if we try to compare, and that's to your point, that's where it comes in. If I'm comparing myself to you, you're taller than me, better looking than me, better hair than me, then we're in trouble. Then like that, if I actually had that mindset,
it was all accurate.
Right, true. But if that was, but if that's my mindset, then that sets the tone for how I view myself.
Yeah. I feel like not this internship in general. Ryan Butenbaum, who works for Urable now, so it's Chris's fiance. So he has a group of guys that speak. I think it's every Tuesday night. They've all gone through things in life, and they all came together in this group chat. And no matter what, every Tuesday night, no matter where he is in the world, they all jump on a call every single time.
Oh wow, that's great.
And what his group of men, I don't think there's any woman part of it, but the group of men that he talks to every Tuesday night, they just have conversations, just like we're having now. But when somebody during the week or on that call is going through something, they all jump in and support it. And it's not about business. It has nothing to do about how much money you make or what you purchased or what investment went bad or good or if you went bankrupt or not. It has nothing to do with that. It all has to do with the internal and what you're going through. And then you have this whole group of men behind you that support that have maybe gone through it or are just there to say, hey man, we're here for you, cried out. Yeah. So I think if we had that, and we had a group online that had nothing to do with business, had nothing to do with the money, had nothing to do with what a client said, had everything to do with, hey, I lost my dad when I was 11. My mom had to raise 5 of us. I saw a lot of weird things going through that. Yeah. I have some trauma in that, 100%. I push everything down, right? Yeah. And then you have all these other guys who are like, I do the same, right? I push things down. I've gone through things like that. And you pull it up and you're able to talk every single week about that. Oh my God, the world would be such a better place.
Well, and that's one of the things, like one of my goals towards the end of last year and coming into 2025 is this genuine, authentic connections and being deliberate about those. Like, I tell you all the time. Tell you all the time. I'm like, dude, I haven't talked to you in like 3 weeks. What the hell's going on? Yeah. Why are you on a cruise and not texting me back?
And then I send you nudie in that shirt.
But I think one of the things,
just pokes at the bottom. That's why it splits right here.
Get out of here.
But I think one of the things that makes these conversations with our lives and all that is because like we genuinely love each other as friends. And I think that something like that is super important to be able to share that stuff. And you said, I think it's a group of men. Well, in my mind, it needs to be a group of men or a group of women because the conversations are going to be different 100%. And more vulnerable.
Yeah.
Like
if there was like a takeaway for anyone who's watching this, is like, Kevin and Grant and Chris being all softy. Hell yeah. But I would tell you the power of 5. I think we've talked about this before. Are you familiar with that?
Give it to me.
So basically you surround yourself with 5 people that are naturally either in your mind doing better or maybe not worse, but like maybe you're slightly elevated in them, whether it's business or social or family. Like in my mind, I got a buddy, he goes on vacations every 3 to 6 weeks. He's somewhere super elaborate, super great that he loves. He genuinely loves it. He doesn't post pictures or anything. I just know he's there. And another guy, business successful, but you tend to surround yourself around a group of people naturally that you call friends, and sometimes it's a real thing that happens, and we all go through it. Sometimes you got to leave certain groups of people to find people who you're comfortable talking with that can relate to certain problems that you're having or they're having, and you can go back and forth.
Yeah, I actually had that one when I lost my dad in middle school. They actually brought there's a group of other students, so my classmates at 3 different levels, 7th through 9th grade. And they had a class that you would go to for an hour once a week with other kids that have gone through basically the same thing as you.
Wow.
So that was, I didn't realize the impact that had on me at the time, but if I didn't have that, and I'm a big supporter. Like I go through an experience and I face it and I move on. But having, 7, 10, 12 other students and classmates of mine go through that I was in a big school, I really didn't know 90% of them. But I became super cllose to them because I was able to be vulnerable with them because they were vulnerable with me. Yeah. And I realized the emotions that they were feeling, I was feeling. Yeah. And you just go in and talk. In the morning, you get there an hour early and talk, and they let you miss class, and it's the best.
And people who are watching this, I see a lot of groups of guys that are like, they could and I try and do that, let me be the conduit, but you should talk to these people. There's a lot of them, especially in these Facebook groups, that like, feel free to reach out. You feel like you're going through something similar, or it could be just a business interest together, but you'd be surprised how many people fit better and they could just, like you said, hop on a call once a month, once a week, whatever it is, and kind of share. And
it teaches you to be vulnerable and have those connections. And there's actually more, there's some guys that have compounded that theory too, because you have this, and this has happened to me. And I've told you this, I send you texts, I'm like, you cannot believe the guy I just met.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, even like Ray Sanders, I've had an opportunity to then connect with him personally. Yeah. But if it's, I have Grant here or Chris here, well, Chris knows these guys over here and Grant knows these guys. And oh, by the way, this guy knows this guy.
Yeah.
And then that network becomes really large, and not from like, oh, what can I get from this network? But it's really, there may be one person that's 3 or 4 steps down the road that then that person becomes in this circle of 5. And it's just really important to have those connections.
And I've relied on both of you multiple times. Like, we're friends, but we both have had some deep conversations of crap I was going through. Like, when the thing happened with my sister at the shop, like I leaned on you heavy for that.
Yeah.
You helped guide me through that. And we've had plenty of conversations about things on both ends, but we don't feel any different. I mean, at least I don't feel any different about you guys when I have those things. Oh God, thank you. I needed that. But I don't feel any different about either of you, and I don't take that in a negative light towards you because we face these things.
No, well, you want that. Like, you start to crave
we
that.
need that.
Like, when you get super busy, and we're all being vulnerable on this podcast, but when you get super busy and we don't talk very much, I'm like, Chris doesn't love me anymore. But like,
one truth.
Yeah.
I what's the lie?
But we need that.
Chris doesn't love me for the lie. Chris doesn't love me for the truth.
let's fucking 2 truths, 1 lie. Let's party on right now. That's how you should start every podcast in February. Give me 2 truths, 1 lie. I want to be here. I want to be here. I want to be here.
You pick. But you begin to crave that connection, that interaction.
Yeah, and it's cool because we've reached out to each other at certain times, like just blind called each other. Like, I think that's how I got in with Claire. Like, how things going? And I was like, not good. But it was just a random call. It wasn't like I reached out for validation for help. It was because we're close, we're friends, and we reached out to each other just to check in, be like, hey man, what's going on? Like, how's it going? I think you guys have called me about things you want to talk about, and then same thing, I called you about things I want to talk about, and then the script gets flipped. It's like, oh shit. All right, dude, let's go. Let's help this out.
When I posted on Facebook, I was like, that friend that you thought about today, and you think you ought to reach out to them? Well, freaking go do it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we'll think of that kind of thing, and then we're just afraid, or we're too busy, or we're just too lazy to reach out to that person. So I think that's super important. So what else you guys want to talk about? Anything else exciting going on from last night? So the takeaway from that, first of all,
let's talk about Chris's bill.
Hell yeah! Got some points last night, that's for sure. Fucking make sure it was the 3 times point night.
I tried to pay for the tip last night, just the tip. So I tried to pay for the tip last night, get the tip in return anyway, and Chris is like, it's already included. And he looks at me and goes, here's your $308.
The 20% used to be 15 added on. Now it's 20%.
So I counted to 15 seconds, and I was like, all right, you made it back.
Yeah. Parties over 1 will be instantly added 25% to your bill, right?
Yeah, that was awesome.
But I think the important thing is we're talking about connection, so really focus on that. If you have an opportunity to connect with other people in the industry, whether it's, we were talking about Facebook groups with Ian earlier, and I'm like, the Facebook group can be a conduit to start developing actual relationships. Get on there and get off. Like, start meeting people that can do that. And to your, I thought that was an amazing idea for you to have these business owners get together. People like, I have this problem, or I have this problem, or I have a solution to that problem. And I think that's really awesome.
Well, the cool part, I was there last night to talk to other business owners, and I actually ended up talking to Pat and Maddie and Chris, not most of the time, but for a large majority of the time. So it wasn't like they were business owners, right? They worked for Detailers Roadmap, and I had some great, epic, super deep conversations with both of them too.
And both pulled away, I hope they reach out to you, but both pulled away some pretty big nuggets on their own.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
You guys are awesome. I appreciate you.
Love you
both.
Well, that was nice.
Even you love
That's
me
a full
both.
cup.
Look at that. My cup's way different. Mine's like slow-mo ice cream.
If you put some lipstick there, I'll hold it for you.
Jesus. HR?
I can put something else there that resembles lipstick.
Oh, man. Can you cut that part out? Thank you very much, guys. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Head over to detailersroadmap.com and get your one-stop success solution today.